Are you ready for action? Hi, I'm Dave Hetherington. Your company's looking for someone. Me. Smart, capable, good-looking, and motivated. I'm all of those 5 things. I strive to work for companies who can teach, motivate, and nurture a man of my size. This is your company right now. This is your company with me. It's on fire. I'm self-motivated with logical aptitude skills. Yeah. I mostly work with children and computers. Some people call me old-fashioned, but I think magic markers and colors are the best way to bring out my inner artist. I'm well-versed in advanced computing skills. I'm proficient in Microsoft Works, Windows 98, and when I get home, I like to download some tunes on Napster. I'll break the competition. I'm seeking a challenging opportunity in any industry. Your company needs men. Men who will fight. Men who will go into battle for your bottom line. Put me on the bottom, and we'll see who bubbles to the top. I think one of my best attributes is I can work a part of a team. At an office party, I'm the guy you want to have be there. To all you hiring managers, I'm your knight in shining armor. They don't mean anything to me, but do they mean something to you? Looking for alternative forms of energy in your workplace? Me too. With a face like this, boldness is a necessity. So call someone. All day.
Don't be a Dave. Unless you're applying for one of the few jobs out there as a circus clown, don't present yourself the way that Dave presents himself here. Even if you do a video resume, which is something that is gaining in popularity, the resume is an extremely important document, perhaps the most important document you will ever create in your life. And whether it's video or text-based, it needs to present the image of you as a professional. And this second podcast of our final unit has to do with how to construct a resume that presents you as somebody that people want to hire. A resume is no place to get in touch with your creative side. It's no place to try to stand out as a free spirit. You want a resume that sets you apart from other candidates, but the setting apart needs to be done in the content, not the form. You don't want to experiment. You don't want to present yourself as possibly a whack job. What you want to do is use a high-quality word processing program and printer, high-quality 8.5 by 11-inch paper, and you want to use standard fonts and standard margins. You don't want to use wacky, crazy fonts. You don't want to try to make it too narrow or too broad. You want to make it look like a solid, conservative, professional document. You want to use enough white space, which means skipping spaces and creating a lot of room on the sides and the top and the bottom to make your document easy to read. You want to avoid templates because readers have seen lots of templates. They've seen lots of cute and clever things. Just black and white is all you need for a good resume, but you don't want to make any mistakes. Proofread, have your friends, your parents' friends, everybody you know, proofread your resume, because nothing is going to get you tossed out of a pile faster than mistakes that are easy to avoid that still find their way into your final product. I'm not going to put up onto the screen here a lot of examples of resumes because your book has a lot of examples. I will ask you to read those examples carefully, to look at them carefully, and to model what your book shows you as the correct style for a resume. Two types of resumes that I'd like to discuss here that are discussed in your book, and they are both organizational patterns for resumes. One is a chronological resume, and that's a resume that summarizes what you have done in your life in reverse order, starting with the most recent and going down to the furthest, the most distant events. And it usually summarizes your education and your experience and the kinds of jobs that you've had. And that's the traditional resume format, and the one that you should use unless there are compelling reasons to use a skills-based resume format, or a resume that is based on the skills that you have rather than the chronology of what you've done. And we're going to look in some detail at these two resume formats and how you would construct both kinds. The chronological resume may or may not include your education. It depends on whether there's any education to include, but it should include any job that you've had. And this, usually for somebody coming out of college, any job that you've had even back into high school. For each job, you should include the position or the job title, the organization that you worked for, the city and the state, or if it's in a foreign country, the country that the job was in, the dates that you were employed there, and then relevant details such as whether you were full or part-time, what your duties were, what special responsibilities you had, and what promotions, if any, you received. Don't go into too much detail about what was clearly a high school type, low-level, entry-level position. If you wash dishes at a pizza place, you don't need to try to make that sound like you were doing tax work. You don't need to make it sound too impressive. You just say the bare minimum. Because people want to know what relevant experience you have, and if you try to turn minimal experience into relevant experience, it just kind of looks silly. Also, while you're describing the jobs that you've had, use parallel structure. We've talked about this before. The grammar and the mechanics of your sentences or your phrases should mirror each other. My responsibilities were to recruit new employees, manage office staff, design clerical documents, and write special proposals. Not, I recruited new employees, manage office staff, and was in charge of designing. If you do that, the lack of parallelism will be obvious to the reader, and it will make you look unprofessional. For a skills-based resume, look at page 481, the resume of Allison Carnes, and look at what she does. It's a very good example of the skills-based resume. You look at the job you're applying for and the skills that are being asked for in that job, and you use as your heading, your organizational framework, those skills or abilities. And you combine the experience you have in a variety of different fields, your paid jobs, volunteer work, community work, church work, classes that you've had, experience that you've had in any avenue of your life. If you've had experience doing X, Y, and Z, you combine everything together, and your categories, rather than describing your jobs, will describe your skills. And finally, we have the video resume. And this is something that is picking up a little bit of steam among employers, though many people are not interested in them at all. They tend to be more important if you're applying for the kind of job where your personality is on display. If you're a receptionist, or if you're working at a front desk, or if you're an actor or a singer or a model or a musician, where judging you is going to require that they have some sense of how you look or sound or how people experience you. So before you even think about a video resume, learn whether or not the employer wants such things. And if they haven't said they'd like them, then you probably don't want to do them. If it is appropriate, just be professional. That's the most important advice that I or anybody can give you. Don't be Dave. Be professional and conservative, dress nicely. Don't try to be too experimental. Practice. Record several versions of your video resume so that you take away all of the sorts of things that I just did. Use your resume to show why you're the best candidate for the job, and do it quickly. A minute or two are probably all the time you want to use in a video resume. Use your images, your sounds, all of the various things you can do on the computer these days to enhance your video resume, but don't make it distracting. And finally, test your resume, post it and send it, and have other people look at it, and look at it every once in a while yourself and make sure that it plays well on the computer screen or however people are going to be accessing it. In conclusion, I want, in balance to Dave that we begin with, I want to show you a pretty good example of a video resume and make this something that you would try to emulate if you ever are in a position where you need to produce one.
Hi, my name is Jim Gibson, and I want to thank you for taking a moment to consider my professional background. I've spent the last 18 years in the technology business sector helping to build and manage high-growth organizations. My experience includes working within prominent business units of Fortune 500 companies such as General Electric and EDS, as well as senior executive roles within small to mid-sized startups. I possess the key skills required to excel in virtually any sales, business development, or client-facing role where empirical results are a central criteria for success. These skills include a keen understanding of marketing and product strategies together with an instinctive ability to quickly connect the dots. I enjoy leading cross-functional teams and am told by my colleagues at all levels that I have a highly refined nose for the close. My professional roles have included positions in areas such as principal sales and marketing, internet SEM and SEO management, and client services. My passion, though, is for business development, for tapping and intelligently growing high-potential organizations. I understand what it takes to launch and organically grow product-driven businesses and have closed deals with companies like American Airlines, AEG, and Orange Telecom. I've negotiated and managed across continents and cultures with specific experience in Latin America, Europe, and Asia. And I've managed both people and products in an array of business settings. In short, I'm a person of integrity and professional focus who brings energy and intelligence to whatever I undertake, together with a work ethic that is second to none. If you see these combination of skills, experience, and driving spirit as something that can add further to fuel your organization's success, I would be pleased to hear from you. Feel free to check out my LinkedIn profile. And again, I really appreciate you taking a minute to see me. Take care.